welcome back to our channel. Naomi had always trusted her instincts, and over the years they had been her compass through dangerous terrain. But in the past weeks, the uneasy pull in her chest had been relentless. Something was wrong, off in a way that did not present itself openly, yet she could sense it hovering in the margins of her days. She had noticed odd coincidences, people or cars that appeared in different places where she happened to be, a shadow of movement in a crowd that would vanish the moment she turned to look. At first, she dismissed these feelings as paranoia born from her past investigations, but then the photographs arrived. They came in a plain manila envelope, slid into her mailbox with no markings, no return address, and no note. Inside was a stack of grainy pictures, each one chilling in its own way. Martin and Smitty appeared in most of them. Sometimes together, sometimes separately, often with the two children nearby. The shots were not casual images caught by passers-by, they were deliberate. Taken from angles that suggested a calculated effort to remain unseen. Some appeared to be from a considerable distance, blurred at the edges, while others were alarmingly close, capturing fleeting expressions, the way Martin's hand rested protectively on a child's shoulder, or how Smitty scanned the street as if aware they were being watched. The most unsettling of all were the ones that appeared to have been taken from within private spaces, through the narrow opening of a doorway, or from behind the reflection of glass. As though the photographer had been close enough to breathe the same air without being noticed. Naomi felt a cold ripple spread through her as she spread the photos across her kitchen table. Someone had been following them for weeks, maybe months. The timestamps embedded in the digital data confirmed it. Whoever had taken these pictures had a pattern, appearing at places they visited often, as schools, community events, small cafes. Some images even came from locations Naomi herself had been to, which meant that the person might have been in her vicinity as well. Determined to uncover the truth without alarming anyone, she began her own investigation. She traced the origins of the photographs by cross-referencing them with nearby surveillance cameras. The process was painstaking, hours spent reviewing grainy security footage from convenience stores, traffic cameras, and building lobbies. It was during this meticulous work that a name began to surface, a presence she recognized in the background of more than one location. The figure's movements were careful, often keeping to the edges of the frame, but eventually the small, almost subconscious habits gave her away. The way she tilted her head when scanning a crowd. The slight limp that became visible in moments when she thought no one was watching. It was Regina. The realization struck Naomi in a way that felt both shocking and inevitable. Regina was not a stranger, she had been around enough to be familiar, someone with ties to the same circles as Martin and Smitty. But this revelation painted her in a far more troubling light. It was one thing to be concerned for mutual acquaintances, but this level of tracking went beyond anything that could be explained as harmless. Naomi's mind churned with questions. Why would Regina follow them so closely? Was she working for someone? Was she connected to something larger, something more dangerous? Naomi shadowed her in return. She followed Regina's car at a distance, memorizing her routes, noting the places she lingered. Regina's pattern was eerily consistent. She would position herself near places Martin and Smitty frequented, sometimes for hours, watching from a distance, occasionally moving in closer before disappearing without a trace. Naomi recorded every detail, each timestamp and location logged into her notes. It was clear that Regina was deliberate, methodical, and experienced enough to avoid drawing attention, but she was not invisible to Naomi anymore. When the moment for confrontation came, it was not planned. Naomi found herself in the same parking lot as Regina one late afternoon, their paths crossing in a way that made avoidance impossible. The tension was immediate. An invisible thread pulled taut between them. Regina's expression was unreadable, her movements calm, as though she had been expecting this encounter all along. She admitted to following them, her tone flat and controlled. She claimed she was protecting them, that there were dangers they could not see, and her watchfulness was a shield rather than a threat. Naomi listened, but every word only deepened her unease. Regina's explanation lacked substance, the kind of vague reassurances meant to quiet questions rather than answer them. It was when Naomi steered the conversation toward June that she saw the first real crack in Regina's composure. The mention of June, and the circumstances under which she had abandoned her child, drew a subtle shift in posture, a tension in the jaw that no amount of practiced calm could disguise. Naomi pressed further, suggesting that there might be a link between Regina and the decision June had made years ago. Her words were deliberate, designed to test, to probe for a reaction. That was when she voiced the suspicion she had been carrying quietly for some time, that June's abandonment had been influenced by forces tied to a child trafficking network that had operated in the shadows of the region. The reaction was immediate and telling. Regina denied it, but the denial was sharp, almost too fast, as if rehearsed. Her eyes held a flash of something: anger, fear, or perhaps both. Naomi noted the way her shoulders stiffened, the way her voice grew quieter as though aware of who might be listening. The energy between them shifted, moving from guarded defensiveness to something far more dangerous. Regina stepped closer, closing the distance with a precision that felt deliberate. Her words were measured, but beneath them was an edge that could cut through steel. She warned Naomi, not in the form of an overt threat, but with a weight that made the meaning clear: stop digging, stop asking questions. Because the truth she was chasing would not only put her in danger, it would consume her. Naomi felt the air between them grow colder. The connection to June and the trafficking network was not an unfounded theory, it was a path leading to something buried deep, something people like Regina would protect at any cost. Naomi knew she had a choice: walk away and preserve her safety, or keep pulling at the threads until the entire fabric came apart. But walking away had never been in her nature. In the days that followed, Naomi became both hunter and prey. She altered her routines, checking for tails, varying her routes, planting false leads to see who might follow. She dug into public records, finding fragments of Regina's past that hinted at ties to organizations that had dissolved suddenly, leaving behind no public trace. She discovered that Regina had been in the same city during a series of disappearances years ago, each case involving children from vulnerable backgrounds, all officially closed without resolution. The more she uncovered, the clearer it became that Regina was part of a network far more sophisticated than she had imagined. One that operated under layers of legitimacy and concealment. Phone calls would disconnect the moment she answered, emails would vanish from her inbox without explanation. The warning Regina had given her now felt less like an idle threat and more like a declaration: she was already inside the storm, and leaving was no longer an option. Naomi understood that she was on a narrowing path. Each step forward meant fewer exits, fewer safe places to retreat to. But the truth she sought was now larger than her fear. Larger than her own safety. Somewhere within Regina's guarded life was the key to understanding what had happened to June, and perhaps to dismantling a network that thrived in the dark. And though she could feel the danger pressing in from all sides, Naomi knew she would continue. Because some truths, once glimpsed, demanded to be brought into the light, no matter the cost. To the light, no matter the cost.